A custom order came in to make some farmhouse side tables, so I thought I'd record the process and show you how you can make your own. These tables are taller than standard side tables to meet the customer's requirements, but don't worry, with this build you'll have the flexibility to adjust the height to suit your needs. Before we jump in, I'll be sharing a special woodworking technique that'll elevate your skills. Stick around to the end to catch that and plenty more valuable tips. Let's get started. For the next 2 points, feel free to take a screenshot for future reference. So for this build you will require these materials. And you will require these tools. Now step 1, we will cut the wood. Here is a list of measurements for the cuts you will need to do. Each cut will be square. Step 2, we will sand the wood to remove any blemishes using 80 grit sandpaper. That being said, this is a farmhouse style furniture, so no need to stress too much about the imperfections. For an extra smooth tabletop though, feel free to use 220 grit sandpaper on the top and shelf boards. Now everything is sanded, we can go to step 3, where we can build the leg assemblies. For the leg boards, first drill 2 countersunk holes just below the top. I then take one of the 2x6x11 boards, add a bit of glue, and screwed it in to both boards. We are then going to draw 2 lines 2.5 inches from the bottom of each board. Then drill 1 countersunk hole just above the line we drew. Make sure the hole just above the line we drew is off to the side, as we are only screwing in a 2x2 there. Then I take a 2x2x11 board, add a bit of glue, and screw that in as well. Then I just repeat this step for the other leg assembly. Step 4. Connect the legs together. For this step we take the 4 2x2x13 boards to create the frame. For the top frame we will pre-drill 2 countersunk holes on either end of the 2 of the boards. We will add some glue to the leg assemblies and then screw them in. For the bottom frame though, it gets a little trickier. I drew some lines 2.5 inches from the bottom as a reference, then got some glue and clamped the frame together. This is not enough to support the frame, so I later on pre-drilled 2 holes underneath and at an angle like pocket hole joints and ran some screws there. If you have a pocket hole jig, I would recommend using it here instead of doing what I did first, which was gluing. Step 5. Stain the top boards and shelf boards by first using a coat of Minwax pre-stain and then a coat of Minwax dark walnut stain. Wait 24 hours, then apply a coat of Minwax satin polyurethane and wait another 24 hours. Keep the rag you used to stain with the dark walnut stain, as this will be used to detail later on. Step 6. Build the X-frame. Now remember that technique I mentioned at the beginning of the video? Well, here it is. Previously, I and other YouTubers have suggested you cut one of the planks in half and pressure fit it with glue. But this technique is not very strong and has the risk of cutting them short. So what I will show you is how you can inlay the planks together to create a very strong bond that makes it super easy to fit these boards together. What you will need to do is set the chop saw's stop to half the thickness of the board. You can do this by setting the blade to the height you want and then setting the stop to that height. From there you will do multiple cuts and then smooth out the area you cut. Do this on both boards and then pressure fit them together with some glue. Whether that technique helped you or not, I would greatly appreciate you hitting that subscribe button, as it will help us with our goal to hit 1,000 subs by the end of 2025. Step 7. Let's fill some holes. Grab some wood filler and fill the holes. Once the filler has dried, sand down the excess so that we have a smooth surface to paint on. Step 8. Time to paint the frame. I use some interior white paint with a 2-inch roller and a paint sponge. After the first coat dries, I apply one more coat and I let that dry. Which leads us to step 9, detailing this table. First, we will take our sandpaper and just rough up the paint. Tip: focus on the edges, but don't do too much, as less is more here. Second, we take that old rag of dark walnut and just gently wipe the painted and sanded down areas to add a rustic and used look. And finally, step 10, assemble the tabletop and shelf boards. Let's first tackle the bottom shelf. Take your bottom shelf boards and add 2 pocket holes for either side. If you did your measurements correctly, these 2 boards should fit snug. Place them in and screw in the pocket hole screws. Tip: use your fingers to ensure that they line up smoothly with the frame. Once those are in, it's time to assemble the top boards. First, line them up on top loosely. Then take a ruler to ensure that all overhangs are equal. I then clamp the boards in place. Grab your drill and pre-drill some holes on the underside of the table to screw in the top boards. So there you have it, your very own farmhouse-style side tables. For finishing touches, feel free to dust off and wipe down any dust that may have accumulated throughout the build, and also feel free to add some felts to the bottom of the feet. For a more detailed breakdown, feel free to go to my website simplyeasyco.com, where you can find written plans for this build and builds like this, as well as checking out my channel and the videos that appear on the screen right now.